Okay, so here's another quick video I'm putting together to provide some more examples of ways you can use queries inside of Access. Okay, so we're in our Sam's Club database here, and one of the things we've looked at so far, if we look at what we've looked at so far, query-wise, we've looked at the select tables and we've looked at make table. All right, so we've seen those two. So for our exercises, we're not probably going to be doing a lot with append tables or crosstabs, but we will be doing some. There will be some opportunities to use updates. So let's kind of go through an example here. So what I want to do is um, let's call up item description. So we'll use item description. We'll just kind of take a gander at it. One of the big issues, one of the big concerns that as we've talked about so far, the term about data is data quality. All right, and the, your results, your analysis, the work you do against a using a database is only going to be as good as the quality of the data you have to work with. All right. So if we take a look at this, we'll look at our item description. So the item description is a kind of a master table, a master data table that has the item number and also has the descriptions and some secondaries and brand name information. Okay, so if we go and take a look at if we do a view on this, or we execute the query, what we'll see is we've got, if we look at the brand name column here, right, so we've got different brand names, but we've also got this word null. It looks like null, kind of strewn through here. So it looks like the brand name has got some garbage data out here that we probably want to take a look at cleaning up. All right, so let's take a gander now. Let's go and we'll see how big and deep this hole is. So we'll go to our design view. We'll take a look at the brand name and we'll say equals double quote null, N-U-L-N, N-U-L-L, close quote, and we'll run it. Okay. And what we have is we have a whole bunch of a whole bunch of records that have null in them. Now, one thing to remember here is I want to clarify something as we look at this. So the way this query is designed, the way this database is designed, is that the fields actually have the letters NULL in the brand name field. All right. There's another. This can get confusing sometimes. You can actually ask for something is null, and what that means is that there are no characters in it, or basically a null character. All right, which is a legitimate character. You don't see it; it's invisible, but it's a real, honest to goodness character from the computer's perspective. All right, so if I run this, interesting. I've actually got a couple fields here. It looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something like 8 fields that actually have null in the brand name. All right. So let's go back. Let's take a look. So let's pull everything out here. So we'll come back to our design view. We'll say either is null or equals double quote NULL. All right, so there's as we can see, a difference between these two. All right, they kind of look the same, but they're not. If I run this, what we'll see is we have 676, I guess what we would consider bad records or bad fields, bad data in these fields out of this 3,000 row table. All right. So one of the things we can do is we can clean this stuff up. And the way we would clean this up is through the use of an update query. All right, so the way you create an update query is first you create a select query to kind of get what you want to find. So in this case, we have found everything. When we run the select query, it will update everything it says is null, anything that has null characters in it or has the word null in it, and we'll bring that back. So the way you create an update query is you take your select query, you click update, all right, and what you'll see is it'll kind of change your grid here, and it'll change this third field to an update to. All right, so what we want to do is let's put in the primary description from the item description table, this column right here. All right, this column right here. We want to take the contents of that and we want to plug it into the brand name. So we'll replace all of the is nulls and nulls with, the content of the primary description. So the way we do this is we actually will put the table names. We put a square bracket. We'll call it you'll see item description. We'll let you pull that up. Dot. And then you put it in square brackets as well. And we'll call it the primary description. All right. So if we read this, what we're doing is, okay, we're going to do an update query. All right. So it's going to find everything that has either has null characters or the word null in the brand name, and will replace for every entry in the table that has that, it will replace it with the primary description. So what you do then is you click run. And I'll come back with say, do you sure you want to do this? You're going to update 676 rows. And we'll say yes. And the change is made. All right. So if I go back and we'll click back to a select query and we'll look for everything that's null or is null or has the word null in it. If I run that, there's nothing out there. All right. But if I go back and take these out and look at the entire contents of the table, what we'll see is we've actually all of the tables here, all of the entries here that had null we put the primary description in. All right. And we can do a similar thing here. So say, for example, in the secondary description, we can do something like put the primary description in for the secondary description instead of blanks. But in case, I think the brand name is, one way we can kind of punch some stuff in. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. Sometimes you'll figure out what, like, a plug value that you want to put in there. Just put some sort of placeholder in there that you could use to identify things, or you could calculate something. You could take a piece of the primary description, combine it with the secondary description, make the brand name. Whatever rule you would like, you can apply that using an update query, right? So it's really the way you would do this once again is. The way we would do this once again is, we would run a select query to identify a set of data that we want to modify, have the correct attributes of it. Change it, click it to make it an update query. All right. So our query that we would bring up, we would put in what value we want to put in here, like in double quotes. If you want to put yes, you put Y, double quotes YES, double quote. Or in this case, we can take a table and the field in that table and plug that value in. Right. So this is something you're probably going to want to do take a look for your team effort with the master data on your item description. One step you're going to want to do is clean that up. All right, and put the maybe copy either primary description or come up with some other mechanism you might see fit to use to punch into all of those null fields or null entered fields in the brand name. Okay, that's it.